Spore Wardens are a master of nature, utilizing their barrage of arrows, Blizzard, and Mushroom Companion to dominate enemies and save Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. What's up, YouTube? Zero here, and today I have an epic level 25 build for the Spore Warden in Tiny Tina's Wonderlands. In this video, I'm going to go over the build for the Spore Warden. I'm going to tell you what class I've combined with the Spore Warden to make this an even more epic build. Then, we're going to get in some more gameplay, and I'm going to talk about why this combination of Spore Warden and the second class is absolutely amazing. I'm going to tell you why I've made the choices I've made. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to show you the equipment I'm using, but of course, this is a Borderlands game that has a lot of different equipment, so this is just an idea of equipment. Without further ado, let's get into the build. So of course, the Spore Warden has the Mushroom Companion, which is going to deal damage. It has lunge damage, it has poison damage, and it has a respawn cooldown when it dies of 45 seconds. So for this level 25 build, I'm going to mainly be using Barrage, which deals those 7 arrows. However, this works for either Blizzard or Barrage, so whichever one you want to use, go ahead and equip. I go back and forth, but I mainly use Barrage at level 25 for this build. Now I'm going to go into Bounty of the Hunt. The action skill cooldown rate is increased by 20%, so I'm getting my action skill a lot quicker. That duration is 12 seconds, so I have that fully invested at 5. So now I'm going to go into Eagle Eye, which my gun damage and gun handling are both going to be increased. I actually have 3 out of 5 in this. It says 5 out of 5 because I have a piece of equipment that gives me +2 of Eagle Eye. So right now I have 3 out of 5. Then I'm going to go into Bullseye. The gun critical hit chance and the companion critical hit chance are both insanely increased, and of course this is maxed out 5 out of 5. I have Spore Cloud. This is really awesome. The Mushroom Companion is going to let one rip, which has a poison cloud, which deals poison damage and lasts for a specific time. The Mushroom Companion will also taunt for that time. Then I'm going to go into Affinity. Ability damage is increased, which is awesome. Going to let my Barrage or Blizzard deal even more damage, and that is maxed out as well. Now let's go into our Stabomancer, which has Dirty Fighting. This is awesome because it's going to give us an increase of critical hit chance by 30%. We're going into Potent Poisons. Status effect damage and status effect duration are both increased. This is going to be maxed out, and you can see the increase on the screen. And exploit their weakness. Whenever the Fate Maker applies a status effect to an enemy, the affected enemy takes increased damage from all sources for a duration. So another great ability to have with the Spore Warden. Now for my stats, my strength is going to be 17 out of 30, which is going to increase my critical damage by 8.8%. Then we're going to go into our dexterity, which I have 20 out of 32, which is going to increase my critical hit chance by 20%. And that was actually increased in my initial setup with Raised by Elves. I got plus dexterity and minus constitution. You can see I went into wisdom with 16, which is going to deal extra status damage. Constitution, I'm a glass cannon, and then atonement, 25 out of 30, which is going to give me that increased skill cooldown by 15%, so I'm able to use my Barrage or Blizzard even more. And of course, my Spore Warden power is increased by 17.9% due to my equipment. So now that we've gone over the build, let's talk about why this is an absolutely epic build. So this build is focused on damage output. I'm really trying to be more of a glass cannon on this build. We saw my constitution was very low. However, my critical hit chance and my critical hit damage was through the roof. We invested in abilities that increased that. That's the reason why I combine the Spore Warden with the Stabomancer, is that we get that plus 30% critical increase. which is awesome to have that increased critical chance. We also have a couple of abilities in that tree of our Spore Warden that are also increasing our critical hit chance, and we're also increasing our gun damage. We have Eagle Eye that's increasing our gun damage. We have Bullseye, which is increasing our gun critical hit chance. So on top of that, we are utilizing our afflictions to our benefit. The Spore Warden is a master of nature, so being able to poison, freeze, or any other status effect is really going to help us deal damage over time and kill enemies quickly. We saw that with our Stabomancer class, we're going to be able to utilize our afflictions more efficiently, and every enemy that has an affliction is going to take more damage. So we combine this with the increased effects of our guns due to our Spore Warden abilities. We're also going to utilize this because our Mushroom Companion deals poison damage. We have the opportunity, if we want to equip Blizzard, to deal that freeze damage. So we're going to be afflicting statuses a lot, and due to that, we're going to be dealing more affliction damage with our Stabomancer abilities. We're also going to be increasing damage taken by our enemies because of the Stabomancer abilities as well. So these two combinations are absolutely fantastic. We're actually really doing well with dealing damage in terms of our gun damage with critical hit chance and critical hit damage. And then we're also afflicting a lot of status effects, which enemies are taking constantly and taking even more damage. And of course, our Mushroom Companion is helping out with that. Again, the reason why I utilize Barrage is because it's dealing more damage and it's going to more enemies. So in a crowd of enemies, it is really dealing a lot of damage, killing all of those enemies quickly. But Blizzard does have great use on this class as well, because it deals that freeze damage that allows us to deal more damage to enemies and slow enemies down as well. So now that we've talked about the setup, let's talk about some of the equipment that actually works really well on this build. Now, I'm going to go over what I have equipped at the end of the video, but I want to give you some ideas as to what you can equip on this Spore Warden to make it even better. Now, first, you have to have a few guns that are going to inflict status effect. One could inflict poison or freeze, and another that deals fire damage. This is because we're going to be trying to cover our bases when it comes to dealing damage to enemies. And of course, the afflictions are going to really help us deal through armor if we have poison, deal through flesh if we have the fire. Freeze is nice because it slows down enemies. We are a glass cannon, so we don't want to get hit. And of course, shock is good as well to get through those shields. But you need at least 2 of your 4 guns that deal afflictions, because afflictions are going to be really important on this build. We want to make sure we're inflicting enemies with status effects so we can deal that extra damage from our Stabomancer ability. And of course, we're focused on dealing a lot of status effects as well as critical hits on this build. So that is the main focus, is the status effects and the critical hits. Outside of guns that deal afflictions, I love using the black powder guns. Now, if you haven't figured it out, the black powder guns are actually the Jacob's guns of this game. So they're going to be dealing a lot more damage. If you want to deal high damage, of course, you go with the Jacob's, or in Tiny Tina's Wonderlands, you go with black powder. So black powder, some of the guns actually do have, if you get a critical hit, it has a chance to ricochet to an enemy. So again, helping us deal better with crowds of enemies, and also dealing that higher damage means our critical hit damage is going to be even more. So now let's talk about what I have equipped. So I have the Toxifying Greatsword, which this is going to deal fire damage. Of course, I want to deal as many status afflictions as possible, so having a sword that deals damage is absolutely awesome. One of my first submachine guns is going to deal fire damage. This is a Hyperius. I don't like Hyperius as much, of course, the Hyperion of this game, but it deals fire damage, which is really important. I have a black powder pistol, which is dealing a lot of damage, so I really love this pistol. Then I have another SMG, this time a Dahlia, which deals poison damage. This really tears through enemies, and of course, poison tears through armor, which is absolutely great. And then, of course, I have another black powder, this time with a sniper rifle, and y'all know me, you know I love sniping, so I need that one-shot, one-kill black powder rifle. Now I have my ring, my magic fingertip pulse, and this is going to increase my spell damage, which is really nice. I like dealing that extra spell because it also inflicts a status effect. It deals extra damage, which is really good to coincide with my build. This also has my action skill cooldown rate getting decreased. And then my shield, whatever shield you want doesn't matter, but I have a really high capacity shield which lowers my health, which doesn't really matter because my health is low anyway. Then, of course, I have a necklace that's going to increase my Spore Warden power and poison damage because my Mushroom Companion deals poison, and I have a gun that deals poison as well. My spell also deals poison, which we're looking at now. So really increasing the status effect that you want most is going to be great, but of course you want to increase the Spore Warden power. So my magic, I'm dealing that damage, and then we could see what we're increasing. We already saw it on the skill tree, but here is my equipment that I have equipped in order to increase some of those gun damages that we saw earlier, so I can deal more damage to enemies, and of course I'm increasing my Spore Warden power. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, feel free to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more Tiny Tina's Wonderlands content. I do a bunch of other RPGs, so feel free to check those out as well. Until next time, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Peace.